We are back, baby. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the To Be Alive podcast. This is Saints in Pairs. It's been a while since our last episode.
I was waiting for you to say episode, and we don't remember.
I think it's
16?
episode 18 or 17,
Whoa.
which is pretty cool. You know, in like 6 months, we got 18 episodes, and that's an achievement.
What do you think?
So,
How many do you think we'll actually end up doing? Like, if you were just guess, like we end up doing 60 in our timeline, or do you think this is gonna be ongoing for years?
bro, I think this is going to be like,
A life?
yeah.
Yes. Yes, bro. My kids are gonna pop on here one day and be like, Daddy, what's going on here? It's like episode 65.
Dog, we'll be at episode 650 by then. But yeah, I feel you.
Nah, that shit's coming.
So why don't we do a 1 minute meditation, and then we'll get into it. By the way, I really didn't prep for this, so this is going to be very much off the cuff, spontaneous. I mean, I have a million questions anyway, but
of course. So,
listeners, if you can join us, please do. I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute, and today's meditation, I want us to just put our attention on our heart for a minute. So I'll call us back when it's time. All right, come on back.
It's crazy what 1 minute of just stopping can do for you.
Right.
How does your heart feel?
It's been feeling electric. It's been feeling warm. There's so much about this. I mean, it's a deep question. I can't just give you a 5-word answer.
I was referring to how your heart was for the 1 minute meditation, but that's it.
No, that's what I mean. Like I felt it's like something has turned on recently. I had a hard few weeks, honestly. Like this month has been kind of tough for me, but like in a good way, in like a purging kind of way, I guess you could say. But
what do you feel like has turned on?
All right, let's just get into it.
What else is there to do, baby?
Well, I don't remember if we did the last pod before my retreat or after. I think it was before. It must have been before. You know what? I have to. I don't know. Well, as a quick recap, I was at the retreat. I did a Vipassana 10-day retreat where I was basically silent, completely disconnected from the world. No talking to anybody, meditating for about 10 hours a day in different, situations, like in a group setting, in the hall, and then in my room. Anyway, it was the first time in my life I spent that much time with myself. And coming out of it, I had a lot of clarity about like, not just like, oh, here's what I want to do in my life, like what's my life's purpose and all these things. Like I got some hints, but it was mostly just about, I found a new baseline for myself that I can operate from. And I know you're also in the middle of your own kind of your own retreat that you've self-administered. So we'll talk about that too. And I'm sure you can relate to this, but like in the silence, you find a side of yourself that doesn't often come out because of all the noise in the world. So with that baseline, the last month has been chaos because it's like I'm going into the world, I'm doing all the things that I was doing before the retreat, but now I have this new baseline. So I'm like, holy shit, this is out. This is not aligned anymore. Or this feels,
Mm.
something feels off about this. What is it? And it doesn't immediately always come through to me what that is. So the last couple of weeks has just been me like trying not to get lost in that story of like, oh, things feel shitty again, you know? Because really what's happening is I'm just noticing the way it's not truly me anymore. And so of course that's going to feel
Mm.
painful in the moment, but in the medium to long term, it's like, this is beautiful. Like this is how you become aware of these things, right?
Mm.
So kind of coming back to your question about like the heart, I think what's been happening is it all goes back to God.
All good things. As they do.
I've been feeling way less shy about saying the word God out loud. I felt really shy saying that maybe last year, even though like something had turned on around that. And I've realized that like I've felt God's energy my whole life in different ways, different moments. I just didn't recognize it.
Mm.
And I would turn around. I just remember I'd look around me at the people I was with whenever I felt something that was, really like, for example, if I'm, a lot of it happened in nature. So if I'm out hiking and there's just like a beautiful mountaintop view at like a vista point or something, I'm just like something like swells inside of me and like I just become so elated and joyful in those moments. And then what I
Mm.
would do in the past is I would look around and be like, "Hey guys, like, do you feel that? Do you see that? Oh my goodness!" Like I want to share it in some way, but the people I would be around, like they'd be like, "Yeah, that's nice," and like I would expect them to like carry
Mm.
the same energy that I'm feeling, which is unfair of an expectation to put on anybody. But I would internalize it as, oh, I'm the weird one here. I'm
Yeah.
probably just like overreacting to something. This is just a view of a mountain. Like, chill out, bro. So I realize now that like, nah, dude, that was always like I was always like receptive to
Mm.
that energy, and I understand it now to be like God's energy. It's like it's clean, it's pure, it's expansive. It's like I can't even put words to it. It's beyond words. So literally today I was journaling, and this is where this all came through. So this is all really fresh right now.
Mm.
I was feeling really agitated this morning. I was like, I don't know what's happening. I'm in the middle of this job search.
Mm.
It's been really tough to get traction on that. It's been really hard also not to fall for like all, there's a lot of doomer stuff going on around the job market, like, oh, AI is taking over, all these layoffs are happening, like everyone's screwed. Naval Ravikant put a tweet out the other day saying like jobs are dying, careers are dead, opportunities are arising, is what he said. It was so cryptic, as Naval is. But anyways, try not to get caught into that river of like negativity and whatnot. And it's hard. It's like that in itself is work, of like
Mm.
be don't lose yourself in all this negative kind of sentiment that is floating around. So I was journaling today just to like write it all out, and it just came through to me like I can release I can release it all because I'm taken care of, by God. And that's not like an offloading of the work I need to do, right? It's like it's different. It's like it's more of an acknowledgement of the work I'm doing, and I can be proud of myself for that, and I can love myself for that, and I can see the love that it is. Um so anyways, there's a million other things I could talk about, but I think I'll pause there.
Mm. So many things to what you just said. I love that you acknowledged or like realized that God had always been like popping up throughout your life. You just couldn't. You didn't have someone else to reflect it back and be like, yeah, yeah, I see it too. Um, I've had many seasons of my life. Thankfully, I was blessed with great friends for the majority of my timeline. So I'd get excited and someone would be like, bro, me too. That was like a huge gift. But I've also had seasons where I'd be like, Also hiking. And people would love that about me. They're like, dude, you're so expressive. Like, it's so easy to tell what you're feeling and thinking. And I'm like, bro, how could you not be over the top? Like, look at this view. And then I could like sit there and just like look out for like hours almost. I'm like captivated. Um, it's ironic. One of the questions I wrote down for this pod is, what do you think about dysregulation? And the reason I'm asking it now is because it almost seems like I'm starting to use this realization of this week I've been regulated more than I have in a long time, and I'm starting to feel God really clearly. And it sounds like for you, the Vipassana did something similar. And in regulating, you realize where God was through these seasons where you were staying seemingly dysregulated. You felt God, you looked around, your friends didn't feel him too. You dysregulated with your thoughts of, I'm weird. Oh, I'm the one that's the problem. Or like, damn, maybe this isn't that good. That thought immediately took you out of God. Like immediately took you out of the connection, and it dysregulated your heart and your body and your mind. And it all came from an idea, which really, you know, we'll get into it, but radical acceptance, this book is like the moment you'd let that pass through, oh, I'm strange. Cool. Like God is so beautiful anyways. Immediately it doesn't dysregulate. The thought still comes through and it just leaves and you just stay present. It's like the most powerful thing that I've been experiencing. So I guess my question for you, I'm really curious, like, how do you relate to dysregulation? And like, is that the word you would use to kind of summarize the period of when you don't feel close to God? What is that for you?
Yeah, I think the feeling you're pointing to is exactly what you're describing of just of feeling dysregulated. I probably don't use that word like when I'm talking to myself or talking about myself to myself. But yeah, it's like not
Unclean.
being. Yeah, it's unclean. It's like not being with me, not being with myself, basically, truly.
Um,
Because like what you're describing of, oh yeah, I'm strange. Okay, let me just let that be, and I don't have to push it away, and I also don't have to accept it. I can just let it be, and it kind of just fades off in its own way. Um, and like you said, let me just turn my attention to something else. Let me turn my attention to God, right? And so for me, dysregulation has been showing up recently as I'm not honoring what it is that I this is probably a theme on this pod, but like just not truly honoring every moment of the day. And I have such a high bar in a way, of like some people will
good.
be like, dude, I know, but like some people will be like, oh, like you're over optimizing or something. And I'm like, this is
Good.
not a yeah,
Good.
this is not a mental like exercise for me. I'm not like sitting there being like, okay, to become the person I want, I have to follow through on the things I'm going to do, and da 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 da, and like I have to do this and I have to do that, and that's not how I am. This is like it's a challenge. It's an instruction from
Mm,
God Himself of like it's a season of developing structure and discipline and like being okay with a little bit of discomfort. To be honest, mentally, like being okay with discomfort. Um, and so I can look at it as, oh, I'm dysregulated, that I'm not feeling, or that I'm not, that I'm not honoring myself every moment.
mm,
Or I can look at it as like, these are the reps. These are the reps of like, let me just continue to stay with myself here, whatever it is. And if I need to go and journal for an hour, which is why I was 15 minutes late to this pod, is like I was in a flow with my journaling.
perfect.
um, so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I think dysregulation sometimes can be taken as like a pathology, like there's something wrong with us. But what if it's just like okay,
You
you know?
know, yes, I I'm starting to have this like radical view around pathology and radical view around like people's perceptions. Like you use that language, people might think people, and I'm just like, who fucking cares? No, like actually, like it's a simple concept. My therapist has told me if they don't like how you are, F them. And I was always like, bro, chill. Like that's so dark or something. And then I was like, the more I've thought about it, it's that's how the Buddha became enlightened. It's how
Mm.
he became enlightened. He sat under the tree, all the BS came into his mind, and he didn't say, oh, but the world says this, or I should be more ascetic. He just said, I'm gonna be here. Didn't fight it. You're a fucking idiot. Cool. You're this. Cool. You're so great. Thanks. And guess what? It doesn't matter. It is like the most freeing thing. This week, I'll give a little context. Like, I was gonna do a Vipassana retreat, and for a couple reasons, I was like, it's not the right timing, and I was overwhelmed. And so I did my own mini version, and I was reading Radical Acceptance, the amount of things that came into my heart while I was sitting by myself for like the last majority of the day, I would be by myself. 1 or 2 hours randomly, I talked to Akaash or somebody. But there was so much garbage. So it's still coming up. I have garbage from this morning. So much garbage of stuff that I'm just like, it's just coming from the past and my subconscious, or frustration or anger at somebody, or things that people think of me, and I'm just like, okay. It's so freeing. It is so freeing.
Yeah.
It's like such a big deal, and I want to like harp on it. Like, this is how the Buddha became enlightened. Like, it doesn't get of a bigger like whoa than that. So
Is that something that, like, in hindsight you've really struggled with, is like caring what people think of you? It's because, like, as long as
yes.
I've known you, I it's come across in small ways, but never obviously.
So I'm gonna share something that I don't know if you'll be able to. You'll probably be like, "What? No, that's cap."
I don't even know what that means, by the way, but go on.
You'll be like,
You need to translate that for all the non-Gen Z folk listening.
basically, you're gonna be like, that's like not my perceived perception of you.
Got it.
I don't think you've ever truly seen me regulated for more than like 48 hours.
Mm.
Since you've known me, you haven't known me that long in comparison. Like, and I'm still getting to a point where I still have like 20% of my day, maybe a little less, that is filled with like micro dysregulation. But I know what it was used to be like when it was like 5% or less. And all it really matters, if you hit a certain threshold, let's say 30 or something, all of a sudden like everything becomes more like colorful and magnified, and like you can hear God when you close your eyes. There's just like this like settledness in your body that you can just focus on the breath, focus on certain touch points, and then like start to like just be really present, that I haven't been able to like access in years. Even with my like these moments that I would tell you where I'm like, dude, I feel like God and I just communed and all this stuff. It'd be like a glimmer, like you said, it's like the clouds and the fog it was prevalent. I knew how to carry myself in a way where like it isn't noticeable to some extent for people. But on my inside, I'm like, there's still a tense bracing that I wasn't even aware of, because I got used to the baseline.
Yeah. Two things. One, if you could just your camera's a little lower. If you can just like
Up.
bring it up. Yeah, up, exactly. No, the other way. So it's like
Yeah.
more, yeah, and then you can
Don't
lean
wanna
back
be.
again. Perfect. That's just my artistic brain wanting to
This,
be our
dude,
heads.
our heads are, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of epic. I was thinking about the same thing earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm curious how that digests for you, like
The
having known me.
Okay, to be honest, in the first maybe, oh, this is great. This is such a good topic. This is like a
Perception
little
of
bit
me.
of, yeah, a little bit of retrospect of like my experience of you, right? Over the
Mm,
last 10 months. I think it's been 9 to 10 months. So for the first, maybe like honestly until maybe mid-December was when it first I first something I saw something beyond what I had seen up to that point. So the first like
Mm,
what was that 6 months of knowing you was like all positive. I was like, oh,
mm,
this guy is so embodied. Like he moves with so much heart and so much love. And I just like it was like low key like honeymoon type shit of like, oh, this is like this is the kind of friend and like
I got you, bro. I got you.
like like this is the kind of friendship I've been looking for so long, you know.
Mm,
And as like time went on, and especially in the last few months, as I've gone through my own kind of acceleration, you could say, of this healing, especially coming out of the last job I was at and being unemployed for the last few months, so having a lot of time really to myself. It's like that's true still, like that hasn't changed the way I feel. But there's also a part of me that realizes like there is, yeah, for real. So like I've come to understand and see that there's ways that our friendship is like distorted. Like there's
mm,
distortions in our friendship, just like every relationship and every dynamic with everyone. There's no such thing as a perfect thing.
mm,
So um, that has been interesting for me to observe and begin to make sense of what that is, because it's still really hard for me to see that clearly, to be honest.
mm,
Um, and I think a lot of it comes down to feeling like I have to be a different version of myself sometimes to keep the peace between us, like in like the off
mm,
moments, or like when we're, I call them the in between moments. Like if we're like driving somewhere or walking somewhere, and we're not at the destination necessarily. Like this is an event, right? We're recording a pod. This is an event. So like we can lock in and like we're here with each other. And so it's when we both know that this space is for us to be present, and like it's clean. Like right now it's clean. This is a very clean space for me to talk to you. But when we're in the car and we're just kind of, fucking around and just doing whatever, um, I will go back into some of my older patterns of like, oh, let me try to match his energy so that
mm.
we stay like
Synced up.
on the same, exactly. We always say exactly. And then that's where I lose, and that's where I'm out of integrity with myself, right? And those are
Mm,
the small like micro moments that I'm seeing happening in different situations too. It's not just like you're just one extension of that's happening in my life, but like in other places too, the smaller ways I'm not being with myself.
mm,
So going back to what you're saying about the whole like walking through a cloud kind of thing and not caring what people think, it's like the hardest place for me to be me is in my close relationships. So my parents, I just spent 5 days at home with them. It's so hard for me to be me fully around them for obvious
mm,
reasons. And with my close friendships, because there's more at stake and there's more of an investment. You know me, even though you're probably the one person, maybe one or two people in the world that will literally actually accept me, no matter how I am. Still, because of my conditioning, it's so hard to do that. But you're right that
mm.
like respectfully, like who gives a fuck what you think, what other people think? I can just be. But that's a practice for me. It's not easy. How has that been for you? That experience?
Being friends with you or just myself?
Your experience of being you around people and
Mm,
friendships and different types of people.
mm. Good question, bro. I can get into this one because I also have my own version of it. Now I'm like thinking about my freaking. I'm like, yo, do I slouch a little? It just feels like a vibe to have the same height.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Now you got me tripped. No, I'm just kidding. So there's a group of people that I play soccer with on Sundays that I've told you about, and I continuously have gone almost every week since I started playing with them because of that exact thing. They let me be ridiculous. And I love having, there's a part of me that likes to be ridiculous. There's a part of me that loves to talk about God like all night. There's a part of me that like loves to be super romantic. There's a part of me that loves to be a goofball and like kind of a like a douche, and like not actually, but like act like one. I have so many parts of me that love to be expressed. But I can't, people don't want all of those things, and but I love them. I love them in me. And so this group I go play soccer with, I'll never forget the first time I hung out with them. And I do this with everybody. I always like put crazy feelers out and see how they take it. And I was like, I grabbed the speaker, I put on some like EDM, and I was just kind of like on the field running around with the ball, with the speaker in my hand, being ridiculous, and people were laughing, like not laughing at me, but laughing because they thought it was so funny. And I left smiling, and I woke up smiling because I was like, I got this little part of me out, like this kid that just wants to be so over the top ridiculous. And most people are like, just honestly, they just shit on it. They're like, dude, like, why are you so like, just chill, like you're so all this stuff. And I'm like, and it kind of like makes me a little subdued, a little puppy, and it's kind of frustrating. You're sad, and they let me rip it, and it makes me so happy. And so, to answer your question, like, I think I really try to keep the people around me and some kind of a routine that allows me for that. It's like regulation. You are probably the single highest, like, in terms of people in my life right now, that gets me to just tap into this like shared breath about God. Our conversation, we didn't expect that to turn that long a couple of days ago. 2.5 hours went by and we were talking about like meeting Jesus and what he's saying to us in our hearts, and what does this mean for our lives, and who are we supposed to be because of it. And I was intoxicated. I was like, I God is literally here. Like, the air in my lungs are different right now, and I'm floating. Like, I'm literally about to like levitate into outer space. and
Facts,
that
facts.
part of me is like probably the most meaningful to me. So like like
Likewise, man.
and like literally, like it takes my heart. Um, it's so funny because yesterday, if you let me be vulnerable with the crew, yesterday you sent me a very difficult text, and like for you to send, but such a beautiful text. Um, essentially saying what you just said, which is like, you don't want to sometimes entertain things that don't feel resonant, and because you want to stay in this grounded signal with God, like you feel like your life has become basically like you want it to be a pure channel, and you want to be in union with God and yourself 24/7, which is like what more of a beautiful calling and feeling and desire. Like, who wouldn't acknowledge that? But it was difficult because you didn't want it to make me feel rejected. You didn't want to make me come back and be like, bro, you're so ridiculous. Like, learn how to chill out and have a life, or like, let me just talk about, like, not. And like, of course, that's what most people would probably say. But I see it as beautiful because you were willing to risk. You were willing to risk our friendship on this deeper thing, which is that, God, I want you, even if it means I lose everybody.
Mm.
Like, it like borderline makes me emotional because I've gone through my own seasons of that, and still have many seasons of that, where I've told my parents or friends or whatever in formal ways, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to practice like this. And I'll lose all of you, but I have to honor what is inside of me. I have to. Um, so yeah, I see you. And it's not a, oh, now we are less close. It's purified. It's like a purified. And it's also like, you don't need to be anything else, bro. Those parts of me, dude, you know me, bro. I find ways.
And that's where like there's the faith and the trust is still coming online for me, of like, I can
Mm,
say these types of things, I can share these types of messages with you of my truth, and even if it's hard to say, and this person's not going to like reject me or abandon me, and even if he does, I'm okay, like, truly. And it might be painful, but like, I chose myself. The first
mm,
time I did that was truly the first time I chose myself was when I left my last relationship, right? So the hardest things for me to make a decision on cleanly is when it comes to people, and
mm,
especially when I'm in the room with them, because I get so mixed with like dude, the truth is there's actually something beautiful that I want to always harmonize with you. It's like, I see
mm.
you, I see the frequency you're on, and I'm
Literally.
like, this is so beautiful. And also, I've, like, just as an example, like the other day we were in the car and you're just kind of like goofing off around like women, and like I'm like I remember this. I remember being this way too, right?
Mm,
And I'm at a stage now where like it doesn't consume me the way it used to, but like I still remember that, and like some part of me wanted to be with you in that, right? But then I realized both during and after that, like, oh, this is not really something I care for anymore. So, but like in there is actually an intention to want to connect. So
yes.
it's not like it's not bad, right? It's like there's still love. It's still an act of love, even though it is maybe not fully aligned to the way I would actually like to be. That's okay. And I can just say that, and I can just trust whatever comes after that in that moment. But like there's no reason for me to have to judge that action of, oh, I lost myself because I wanted to maintain harmony with a friend. That's actually kind of beautiful now that I think about it.
It's super beautiful. It's the
Yeah.
dance that it's so ironic. I was thinking about what you said. You're like, the hardest relationships for you to stay yourself are the most intimate. And it's like, of course. Like, because it's the ones you want to harmonize with the most. It's the ones you love so much deeper that you're willing to, it comes at like you're willing to be too selfless, which is my struggle too. You've seen me be overly selfless, overly empathetic, and lose myself. And it's like that's the dance that we have to learn to make. Ironically, with life and with partners or friends or intimate connections, it's like I'm gonna have a wife one day, and I'm gonna love her so much that I will struggle. And hopefully, she's the kind of person like I am, which is I want your good over my own good in your own heart. As in, like, if I see her losing herself, I want to get to the point where I can stop and be like, "Where's your heart? I see it's so beautiful, but like, did you want to do that?" I think I've told girlfriends that.
Mm.
I'll never forget. There's a couple memories that are coming up where that happened, and I stopped them, and I literally like grabbed them like by the hands, and I looked them in, and, like sometimes I grabbed their face, and I looked at them, and I said, "I don't think you wanted to do that." Or I asked them, I was like, "Did you want to do that? Like, be honest. I'm not going anywhere." And they were like, "No, I didn't." And I was like, "Then why'd you do that?" I was like, "I don't want that for you." And dude, a partnership where like we both prioritize that, so healthy.
Yeah.
So healthy, bro. Don't ever do that, bro. Mm,
I want to go back to this 10-day retreat stuff that we're kind of circling a little bit.
please.
So
Right before you get into it, the
sure,
last thing I
sure.
want to say, I think it's the same tension that we have with life and God. To stay regulated, we have to maintain a certain level of peaceful lifestyle so that we can continuously feel God. And if we move too fast, you'll lose yourself. And I think for me, that's been the lesson that I've been having hammered into my head. So it's the same thing with relationships, but it's the same thing with yourself and life and God. So just wanted to name that for myself.
Yeah, and also like specifically kind of where I'm at right now is I feel like it's a season of, because for me to like, and maybe you're going through this too, of like we're coming back to ourselves in a way. We're coming back to who we are. We're becoming familiar with that energy, that frequency, whatever you want to call it. And to do that, like you kind of have to take drastic measures. You know, like you go like I did, go on a 10-day retreat, like you're doing a self-administered retreat, like that. It's kind of drastic. Like I've been telling people, just, you know, friends, old coworkers, whoever I'm connecting with recently, that I did this, and they're like, everyone's reaction is like, "Are you insane? How do you do that? How do you do a 10 days not talking?" Oh, I could never. I could never. Like their reaction is, it's really interesting to see how people respond to that. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm like, to be honest, it was not that bad for me at all.
It's actually desirable. I'm confused when people, I literally don't get it when people are like, "How could you do that?" I'm like, "Bro, I feel like doing another 30 days." Like, I was
Yeah.
like, "Can I go on the Vipassana now? Like, actually, can I do the 10 days now? I want to do it now."
That's hilarious. Yeah. But like I think it's a skill in a way of like, once we kind of become familiar with our own energy, our own like true frequency. I use the word frequency because it's like a radio signal of like, oh, you find you're like, oh, I'm 92.7. That's where I am at. Right. And then as you go through your life, you kind of go, oh, I'm kind of veering into 97. Oh shit, I'm down to like 88. But like, you know, 92.7 is your frequency. So you can, that's your anchor point, and you can like reference it as you're going through life or whatever. So I'm not at 92.7, but I'm at like, the range is 92 to 93. And I'm starting to come to what that exact frequency is, right? My unique
Whoa.
frequency.
It's a
So
banger analogy. Keep rolling.
so right now it's like, okay, let's continue to work to find that 92.7 exact point. And then once I've like, and I'm not saying it, there's like a moment where I'm like, oh, this is it. It kind of just, it's hard to explain. It's not really a linear thing, but at some point it clarifies, or I realize that, oh, that's me. And then I don't need, like, maybe I do a retreat every couple of years or every year or whatever. Like, I decide, like, I can go into the world, I can participate, I can be myself, I can let go of like the vigilance of, am I being me all the time? Because that still kind of exists, and that creates anxiety too. Like a low grade anxiety of like always watching yourself, like, oh, how am I showing up right now? How am I showing up? Like, that's one of my fucking biggest, longest running voices in my head, always watching my every move. But then you go into the world, you participate, and then you pull out as you need to, and you like take a couple days or take a weekend. Like Joe Hudson, he, you know, my favorite person right now, he has this he shared in one of his podcasts that, like, I think it was every quarter he'll take a weekend and he'll go to a cabin away from society and just be on his own.
Every weekend?
No. 1 weekend every 3 months.
Whoa.
Because it's what he needs. That's what he's discovered for himself. And
I
so
love
we
it.
all, and we're all going to have our own like version of that, like whatever it is that, hey, I need to retreat, come back to myself, and then you re-enter. And every time you do that, like, you come back into the world more clean and more clear, and that benefits you, that serves you, and that serves everyone around you. Right. So I'm just in the season of finding that first like 92.7 frequency for myself. Like, what does that look like? And I got to do some drastic stuff, and it requires me to have hard conversations with my friends, and be more vigilant, like not vigilant, yeah, I guess vigilant and aware of where my energy is going. What am I saying yes to? What am I saying no to? Can I say no more? No is so hard for me to say. Like, I have to put 85 disclaimers and whatnot after I say no, and explain every reason why, so that this person can not feel rejected for me saying no. I get so worried that people are going to be like disappointed, or they're going to feel bad when I say no. So that's another practice I'm trying to do right now.
Your empathy is like mine. It's too high.
Yeah.
And you don't want to feel, my biggest wound is, am I doing something wrong, or am I being a bad guy? That's the narrative. Am I being a bad guy? That's the stuff that like gets me to spiral or wounded or whatever. But it's like learning how to, again, the Maya, like learning how to look at it and be like, okay, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. And it's like, and also in relationships, what kind of relationships can even be maintained that don't have some level of grace? If you hit me with that comment yesterday in a way that was like, it was painful, maybe because you were just like super caught up and fed up, or having dysregulated, having a hard day, and you just like, and then I was like, wow, okay. And then we connected the next time, and you were like, things were better again to some extent. And I just said like, hey, I just want you to know I love you. I see you. It hurt a little bit, but like, I get it. And then we talk it through. It would be the same result. And maybe that's helpful for you to know, but like, it would be the same result, because it's like, there's grace to be found in connection, dude. Like, this whole idea that like you gotta be perfect is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
Oh, dude, you're hitting on something real right now. Like, wow. I don't even know how to go into it, but there's a thread here that is really important that I feel I've noticed in my relationships with people, throughout my life, where, except for the select few, and this is where maybe the intimate, like, this is the people you become close to, but even them, in some ways, it exists. It's just maybe is a different shape. But this like pressure to, if it's someone new, how do I bring a version of myself this person will accept? If it's already someone you know and you're close to, how do I keep this friendship as deep as it is, or how do I keep it, whatever your desires with that friendship, how do I accomplish that? And it creates this pressure and it influences how you show up for that person and for yourself. And I think what you're saying is like grace, which is, I don't even know how to describe grace. It's just something that's beyond our doing. It's like, it's just God's work, God's grace, right? That is like, you can trust that whatever is meant to happen with this person in this particular friendship, for example, is for everyone's best, like highest growth in the long term. So the only thing to do is just to be you, right? That's all we can do.
Literally.
And I'm noticing how much pressure in the past, this is really not the case anymore, but in the past I put on so much pressure on myself on all my friendships of like, oh, this person is into business. Let me make sure I talk about business and like, you know, their job and all these things when we hang out. Oh, this person's into spirituality. Let me make sure I talk about like spirituality. Oh, my dad loves talking about like, well, he's also a business guy. He loves talking about business. And again, good intentions of, oh, I care about the harmony of this relationship, but what about what do I want? What do I want to talk about? What's on my heart?
And the irony is there's probably going to be synergy if you start sharing what's on your heart too. And then they'll start to like your friends probably see you as a spiritual guy now because you start to talk about spirituality maybe as before you didn't. And then they're like, now they're having conversations with you that you never would have had because you didn't pose the truth about what you were thinking.
True. And this is also showing up right now in my job search. So like right now, my strategy is let me just network with people. And what that really means is let me have conversations with second degree connections that like we have a mutual first degree connection, right? Introduce me to someone at this company. As I'm having these conversations, I'm realizing I can just ask for what I want. So yesterday I had a call with a guy and you know, it was a really beautiful conversation actually. And I just asked him at some point, I was like, hey, like I would be remiss not to ask, but if I see a job posting in the next month or two, can I send you a link to it and can you refer me internally? And it, you know, anyone listening is probably like, oh, well, that's like, obviously, you know, that's what you want to ask. But for me, that's scary to ask. It's like, I'm asking someone to do something for me. I'm asking, it's almost like some kind of, I'm putting a burden on someone of like, oh, you gotta help me out. Like you're helping me out. And what am I doing in return? And my brain always goes to, how can I make this equal? I don't want to just be burdening you with things that I want from you, you know? But it was received so gracefully by this person. He was like, of course, just if you have any questions. And throughout the whole call, he was like, if you have any questions, like after this call, like hit me up. And
dude, sometimes you get amazed by the goodness of humanity that we don't think is there. It's so real.
And this person I talked to I could tell he's been going through it. I could tell he's just tired. There's an exhaustion to his energy, I felt. And I just had so much love for the guy because I remember being in his shoes, you know, working corporate and not understanding why I'm doing this and like all these things. I'm not saying that's what's happening for him, but for whatever reason, I felt his energy. And we still had such a connective conversation. Like we were both like, we had a moment, like, at random, I just want to share this. We had a moment yesterday where anyone who's job searching right now can relate to this probably, but Workday in particular has this ridiculous UI where you have to copy and paste your job experience one by one into their system.
Yes, so dumb.
Which is such a pain. And then you have to answer all those questions, you know, those like, am I a veteran and disabled or whatever, all these questions. And you hit submit. And then you go to the next job posting that's also Workday. You have to do it all over again. For every company has a separate Workday account. So we were both commiserating. We were laughing at how freaking ridiculous that process is. And then he shares with me this website, which I'll share with you too, by the way. I forgot what it's called, so I wish I could call it out right here. But it's an AI thing that like basically consolidates all of this. And he was like, this is how I got my job. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I would not even know.
Like, it auto submits it for you? Like a scraper bot? Yeah. I was having my VA do it. It's like this, yeah, because screw that.
I'm like, you gotta fight fire with fire at some point, right? So But I would not have known to ask him that question of like, hey, do you have a website that helps you? Like that just organically came up because we were connected.
That's the best part about networking.
It
That
was so,
you find things out that you wouldn't. It's just you get lost in the signal of the internet. You're not gonna find that info.
bro, this does not even feel like networking. This is just connecting with a person. And
It's
like
the
good
best part
things
about.
happen when you connect with
That's
people.
what real networking should be. I don't know what
Yeah.
this rah rah is. This is what networking is supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's really just like let me just talk to a human being around work related stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take a pivot.
Please.
So I really want to like hear about your experiences for the last
Mm.
7, 8 days. So I'd love for you to share what's been happening. You're going on this self-administered retreat, and anything that you feel is alive for you around that, I'd love for you to speak to.
You know, I've been reflecting a lot about my own reflections this week. Every day I feel like I get more perspective on the last 7 days or whatever. Um, I felt like my life had been boiling over, and I've lived in a state of being boiled over. Like, that's why I talked about regulation. Um, but it really boiled over like right before this retreat, and which is why I opted in for it. But it wasn't like a lot was like there was a lot happening, but it wasn't like, oh my God, my business is exploding, yada yada. And so I had developed bad habits and that I think compounded, and a lot of these habits were psychological, the way I talk to myself. A lot of these habits were the way I believe I'm supposed to respond to someone's text in a certain time frame, or they might feel bad. A lot of it might be I need to be on guard for my employees if they text me. A lot of them might be my friends, or a specific girl, I have to be attentive to, I have to be compassionate. And all of it just deteriorated my sense of self. Um, and it just got really out of hand. And I haven't had a consistent sleep schedule in like years. And so I was like, well, I feel this confusion. I know I need to slow down. I don't know what I should do. My friend recommended read this book. Just read Radical Acceptance and don't have anything else on the calendar. And so I literally decided my three things are I wrote it on my whiteboard. Only things I'm allowed to do until I feel clear is walk, journal, and Radical Acceptance, the book. Only after I get a little bit of clarity can I add things in. And journal like anything that's just stream of consciousness. Just see what is happening inside of you. Don't have any distractions. So I put my phone into a cabinet, went on really long walks, and what started to come up was really eye-opening. One, I had a lot of fear about feeling these thoughts, a lot of fear around relationships stuff, a lot of fear around being by myself, and it was just these voices. It's like Maya. It's just like, oh, you're a piece of shit because of this, or you didn't respond to that person, or like, what are people gonna think of you? Oh, you should be getting a job. Like, why are you just dilly-dallying? Like this productivity voice had just like completely taken the driver's seat in my mind and just was terrorizing. It was terrorizing. Um, but as I read the book, it was the most freeing thing ever because, and then I'm gonna get into like what I started to feel like happened spiritually. I know you want to hear more on. Um, as I started to, I guess, develop the skill around accepting those things and just being like, okay, and I'm just gonna sit here because it's been so unhealthy for my heart and my mind to put so much pressure on myself. So yes, I'm gonna take 10 days off. And as I let all my thoughts come through and had that disposition, I can't stress it enough at how freeing it has felt for my soul. And then only then, a couple days in, feeling these weird lows of like, am I depressed? Like what? Like, did I start to feel this sense of like peace? And then from that, even the voice is dropping and finding these moments of like, I hear my own voice again. And then like even dropping that and being like, I feel something deep and I can close my eyes and I start to feel this like heartbeat that I used to have when I like was really just only focused on God, or like really just like in this like communion. Um, and the heartbeat, I take sometimes it takes a little bit of time in the morning, a couple hours. I wake up. I've been good about getting up at a similar time. I go and I journal, and then at some point, a couple hours after, I can close my eyes. I'll meditate, and the heartbeat will kick back in. And slowly every day, it's like there is life being found, and the heartbeat is like kicking in around like being able to feel God. Um, and I had some really like profound experiences this week, and it's crazy because it's only been 9 days, 8 days right now, and it's like really, it only takes. I think in the fourth day is when I experienced this first one. It takes 4 days of disconnecting from life to finally feel God. Like that's all, and we hold on so tightly. Like my attachments were like through the roof to so many different things. Um, one of the big things I'll share, and I'm still wrapping my head around, but and there's a lot here spiritually, is I've been trying to make sense of my relationship with Jesus because I came to it from I came to it from these really profound mystical experiences when I was younger on these retreats, these Catholic retreats. And then I maintained it through a lot of contemplative prayer. And I've been learning a lot about contemplating and being a mystic because it's the only thing that seems to resonate with my heart when it comes to Jesus. And I can like visualize and like see and feel him and like converse with him sometimes in this way that I'm like, how am I supposed to make sense of this? Like it's so, and I had a long season where people were so fixed on this is how you should live, this is how you should do, this is like, you know, go to mass, these are the rituals, these are the sacraments, and all that happened is I created a lot of noise in front of that face of Jesus that when I close my eyes is so clear. Um, and so I like basically started to distrust my own heart, my own intuition around who I know Jesus is and how he wants to connect with me. And by radically accepting, and even in my heart with all this stuff, I've just been able to sit and this week I had this moment. Um, I was walking on Auditorium Shores and I sat down and I was looking over the water at downtown and I was feeling restless and I've been like questioning, how do I find you? How do you find you? I talked to a priest this week. I spoke to this other priest at a different denomination. I was researching what religion would even allow me to like be who I am essentially and still be in relation to Jesus. Like what a crazy idea. Like, what a crazy idea that I was trying to go externally to get acceptance from this. And I sit down, I close my eyes, and I said, you know, Jesus, what am I supposed to do about this? I don't understand. The world tells me I'm supposed to relate to you like this. I don't even know. I I miss you being just with me. And and then I just like heard his I just like heard his voice so clear and so gentle. And he just started showing me memories of times when he was with me. Sometimes when I felt like he wasn't actually there. Kind of like you said, when you look into the past and you see where God actually was, and you're like, oh my God, you were there the whole time. And it was like that. Sometimes in a church, praying by myself, sometimes on someone's couch, sometimes talking to people. And, you know, and as I was watching these scenes, there was a scene of me inside of a church that I recognized. I'm sitting in this church, I'm watching myself, and then I'm watching that person watching these memories. It was kind of trippy. And it's like a darker lit church. And I was like, at the end of all these slideshows and these scenes, and Jesus telling me, like, I was with you the whole time. And then I was like, well, where am I supposed to go to find you then? And then it just like, I understood where I was sitting in my mind's eye. And I was in a church that I sat in when I was in college. And I used to go every day since for like at least 100 days. I went to church every day and I would just sit in this church for hours. And I felt like I found my soul, I found my heart. And in those years, um, and when I closed my eyes, I was there, and it looked like the upside down. It's like from Stranger Things, like the underneath the real world. And it was that church in that kind of limelight. And he's like, you don't need to go out to find me anymore. You spent so much time in these external structures, and you like had this scaffolding, and then I like I'm within you now. The church you were looking for is within you. And dude, I just like broke. Like when that was happening, I had so much peace. Um, and I was smiling, and like the whole rest of the day was just like I'm walking on water level of like peace. And even like I've been thinking about that every day since, and we talked about it. And even now it's like still coming through of like processing that. But I think this is like the integration of like learning how to live with what that means so that like it does take root and it does transform me and it does become a practice of mine that I can just like actually go into that place internally and be in church because it's a yearning that I have so deeply, but I don't want to like keep seeking it externally from people and places that like end up actually limiting my ability to feel him instead of like amplify it. So um I don't know what I just said, but that's my heart, bro.
Just want to take a second because I felt every word you were saying in my heart. And it was like everything that I shared earlier in this episode about feeling like God has always been with me, you literally just said back to me. What?
You know, I've been trying to make sense of this feeling for years. I used to get this even when I would attend church. I used to always feel like this whisper in my heart of God saying, go sit in the back, close your eyes, and just lose yourself with me. And I was always like, I can't. Like, there's a church service going on. I'm supposed to stand and kneel and say things. And if I don't participate, one, I don't even know if that's allowed. And two, like, people are going to think I'm weird. And for years, he would tell me, go sit in the back, close your eyes, and just lose yourself with me. And I would do it sometimes, and it was intoxicating. And when I wouldn't do it, it was because I was too self-conscious. I was like, this is weird. What are people? And so and if I go and I don't do that, I feel like it's like betraying myself. It's like God is telling me, I don't care what the rule is. I just want you to literally just lose yourself with me. Just be with me. Like those things don't need to be me. Just listen to me. And like even when I'm saying it now and when this is happening in that vision, it was like, yeah, like I feel the same where he's like, this is like your church is within. Uh, like at this point, trust me. Even if people persecute you, even if people think you're strange, even if people say you're crazy, like you don't make any sense, you're not supposed to do, just do it for me. Like just lose yourself with me.
I just feel so much joy. I feel so much joy. Like my heart is smiling.
I feel it too.
Like there's this funny instinct that I want to like meaning make this right now, and I don't. I just want to sit with what you're saying because it's just
Mm.
It's clean. It's
Mm.
pure. How has it been coming up? Like this happened how long ago? A few days back?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Is the main question just around like what does this mean? How do I integrate it?
Yeah, I had the question of where do I go? Um, I checked out this Episcopalian church. They're basically a spin-off of Catholicism. Same similar traditions. They just believe that the truth doesn't have to only be from the church and traditions and the magisterium, pope, and all that, but that it's also like this internal coherence and internal understanding, and that's like the ultimate like deciding factor, discernment. I resonate so much with it in almost everything. But even when I was in the church, my body was like, just close your eyes and lose yourself with me. And maybe I can practice that. But
Yeah.
in terms of even when I'm talking about this out loud with you, I'm realizing that it doesn't matter. Like it's not I I'm trying to solve the puzzle with the wrong piece. Like Jesus has made it clear. He's like, it doesn't matter if you're in the church, during the service, after the service, you already know how to find home. Just spend time with me. And I think I was looking at it the wrong way.
Mm. I think there's something because there's something about the energy though of a church. Like I've
Yes.
been to a handful. There is something seriously tangible about like a bunch of people coming together, you know, in whatever intentions that they have to surrender themselves to something greater than who they are.
Yeah.
And you feel that viscerally inside like holy spaces. So like it's funny because I'm what you're saying, I've intellectually known forever of like not
Mm.
forever, you know, since this whole spiritual stuff has unfolded for me of like, you know, God is within us, the kingdom of heaven is within you.
Mm.
You know, we are not separate. But like to embody that, to understand what that means actually as a person, as a human being who's on this earth, like it's hard to do alone. It's hard
Yeah.
to like it's hard like until I met you, I had no sense of like what is what is God really? Like beyond a concept
Mm.
and thought in my brain, like what is God felt? What does he feel like
Mm.
in the ordinary? And the church, you feel God's presence. I've noticed in the church, I've noticed it in temples I've been to in like the Hindu
Mm.
side of things. I've noticed it in monasteries I go into. There's something in the air that's different in
Yeah.
those places. So like I wonder, maybe you're just looking for that energy to where it's easier to be with Jesus in that kind of an environment rather than just like what that environment itself is trying to teach you or what its traditions are. It's
Yeah.
more just like this is just a place for me and I feel closer to you here
Yeah.
than in my room, for example. Is that fair or how does that
The
land?
iron the irony is that I can feel as close to him as in my room, but there's something about the container that like makes my posture more easily, my heart
Mm.
posture just like turned.
Dude, I'm looking for that space for myself.
Mm.
I don't
Have
know
you?
where to go.
Yeah, I want to practice it. I'm going on Saturday again to this Zen Buddhist temple. But they have a morning meditation I want to try. But I noticed if I'm around people that feel clean, or if I'm captivated by the architecture, like tell me about a church that the architecture just again,
Yes.
it's the same visual that I got when I'm in my own church. It's there's something about that visual, the church architecture, and but in this Zen Buddhist temple it was different. But I started to get remnants of it because the people there were really pure, especially the two teachers that I resonated with. And so I'm really curious if I'm gonna get the same feeling now coming back even again. But yeah.
Mm. What time's the meditation?
8 a.m. until 10:30. Come, bro, come.
I'm actually very interested.
There's
Yeah.
a Dharma talk at 10.
Oh,
Last week's
is
was really good. It was really
beautiful.
beautiful.
I would love to. But really feel into if you want to do this. I don't want to interrupt anything, any intentions you're setting for
Okay.
yourself.
I mean, I'm 90% yes. Give me I'll tell you by the end of the day.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, this is, dude. Okay. Something just came through where I think following the retreat I did last month. It's been about a month since I got out of the retreat, and I remember feeling like, oh, like going into the retreat, I felt this yearning for God, which we talked about. I must have talked about it on the pod. Like this yearning to know God. Um, like almost like it was like a desire, like I want it. Like I want it. It was almost like
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't realize the intensity of that until I went to the retreat, and then I realized that it's actually a craving, and I'm in some ways I'm like pushing God away by wanting him so much. The way I was orienting towards it, it's very nuanced to explain this. And then coming out of the retreat, I kind of like let all that go. And I was like, I'm just going to focus on the world. I'm going to focus on, like, Vipassana is all about noticing the sensations on your body because your sensations are real. Like you can feel them you're not imagining anything. You're not going into outer space. You're literally just, oh, I feel tingles. Let me just notice. So Vipassana, the whole point of it is like, it's practical. It's like for all the skeptics out there, it's like the most practical way. It's
Mm-hmm.
They teach that it's universal. It's not like limited to a religion. So I kind of took that mentality and I was like, okay, God is real, and like I understand God the way I understand God, but I've let go of this yearning. And so for a few weeks, I was like not thinking of God at all. And I was just purely in the world trying to do my duties of like, let me wake up, let me try to like live every day in alignment. And
It sounds
I was
depressing.
yeah, and I was struggling with it. And even though some part of me is like, yeah, like this is all happening for a reason. Like there is faith in something, but this week and you can go to my Twitter and you can literally notice this, is like this week I started to use the word God in my writing and in my journaling. And I immediately felt something come on. Like some kind of like, oh, this it's not the same level of yearning and intensity at all as before, but like even as I'm speaking, I can feel my heart is like lighting up. And like, oh, I don't know what just happened. I almost feel like I'm not supposed to talk about this more, so I'm going to stop there. But there's something about this, that the timeliness of everything and the timing of it all, of you going on this retreat yourself and having these experiences, me suddenly having this like I feel like God is here on earth with us right now, and like we can all feel him if we ask and if we wonder. Like all of us, even the most hard-nosed skeptic in the world, if they just surrendered, like I feel like I'm gonna float away, bro. Like my heart's like
To be alive.
to be alive, baby. Anything else on your heart, on your mind, even you want to talk about today? I'm feeling complete on that thread.
I really love that this Bible passage feels like so true right now, of like, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened, ask and you shall receive. Like, yeah, it just feels like the spiritual door to that truth feels really open right now.
I feel the same thing, 100%.
Uh, yeah, I think that's it for me, bro. To be alive.
Beautiful. I think that's a great place for us to conclude today. So thank you everybody for joining us. We will see you next time, whenever that is. And until then, stay kind and peace out.